All right, away we go here. Picks and roll. First episode, 2024. If you don't know, well, now you know. Sean Barnard covers the Sixers for us on The Gambler, all things NBA. I am Sean Brace. We started this podcast at the beginning of the NBA season, essentially dating back to last year. And we hit on the full NBA card and, of course, a hyper focus on our 76ers. First and foremost, Sean Barnard, you have a good holiday, a good New Year's, sir, a good break.
I did. I took a little break from the hardwood as well. Checked out some gridiron over the weekend. Got dove into the college football games and had some fun with that. And then yeah, ready to get right back at it. Dive in and starting to hit the big slide of the NBA season. Saw the first big trade with the OG Anunoby trade, which we talked about on here as well. But yeah, if we're gonna get after it from here on out, and the league is right behind us, so I'm excited for the rest of the stretch.
That's right. Sixers back in action this evening on DraftKings Sportsbook, where we get all of our numbers from. 10.5-point home favorites against a team that might be surprising to a lot of people out there that they are 0-2 against in this, well, halfway through the course of this NBA season, close to halfway. What are we at right now, Sean Menard? The standings, we are
A little over 30 games in.
yeah, a little over 30 games in, so not quite at the halfway mark. I didn't think we were, but we're definitely inching closer there as the Boston Celtics lead the East at 26-6. Tell you everything you need to know about that. And the 76ers, of course, holding down the 3 seed at 22-10. The Bulls, though, look, I want to get right into this game because I'm definitely feeling the underdog. But I want to go big picture with you to open up here. Of course, 2024, fresh start for all of us. If someone was to ask you right now who the best team in basketball is, who would you say?
The best team in the basketball, I still don't think you can take the crown off the Nuggets' head. That I still believe that come playoff time, that is the team that I fear the most. Jokic is starting to find his stride a little bit. Started strong for the season, then he kind of struggled for a couple weeks, and now he looks right back to the MVP caliber player he is. So as much as they haven't played their cleanest version of basketball thus far, they did lose Bruce Brown, a couple other uh, guys around the edges that weren't a major deal to it. I still think the Nuggets are the team to beat this year, and you have to consider them as such until someone knocks them off that pedestal.
And watching them play last night, there was one of those games that they just had it going. And I know that it was against an inferior opponent and the Charlotte Hornets, but man, Jokic just making it look so easy out there. Murray having his way. I guess the big factor for me last year with Denver, and it wasn't all that surprising if you paid attention, it's just how deep they were. Are they
Yeah.
still? Because look, they got picked apart. When you win a championship, your roster is going to take a hit or two. They lost a few decent players, decent pieces. They were able to keep that core together. Are they deep enough in your mind this year?
Yeah, I still think they are. That we're seeing the next progression. Guys like Peyton Watson stepping up. Reggie Jackson's been playing terrific for them. They still have some guys that are capable. A couple of the Penn State guys, Julian Strother has been good. Even Jalen Pickett making an impact. So the next generation of Nuggets players are kind of stepping into those roles. And they're another team that does a great job of having this set system in place to where when guys come in that they know their set responsibilities, they know their role, they play that very well. To me, that's more valuable from a developmental standpoint than a lot of guys who get the opportunity to basically just go out there and hoop. I think it's a lot easier to translate when there's specific niche roles for each of these guys, and that's the way Denver has it going. And when they have it going like a machine, like the way you say, there's really not much you can do. So that's what puts them in a different category to me is there is this proven just machine-like efficiency offensively that they have that other teams just can't quite compete with.
Well said. Last night, other games from around the league that caught our attention. You just talked about OG, his first game with the New York Knicks, and he fits in really nicely with that team. I think you're also going to see some other guys start to get some more minutes, guys that I think can produce. I'm not going to go too crazy for Dante DiVincenzo and company, but still, I think these are good players, and I'm actually liking the direction that the Knicks are going. I can't tell you the last time that I've actually said that out loud. Here they are last night with the nice win over Minnesota, actually early in the afternoon. Julius Randle finished with 39. OG, though, in his debut for the Knicks, went for 17. He was 3 of 6 from downtown, pulled down 6 boards, got into it at 6 fouls, actually fouled out in his debut. That's pretty funny. Your takeaway from OG, and of course the fit moving forward. What do you think? Why does he fit nicely with the Knicks in your mind?
Yeah, it's more for the same reason we spoke about to my first reaction is the Knicks continue to just build this infrastructure that is ready to take in the next star. And we know for years, like my whole lifetime, it has been the Knicks talking about they're going to trade or get this big star in free agency. And then everything changes ever since the Carmelo days that they haven't been back to that level of a really playoff caliber team. but it feels like they're making all the right moves behind the scenes to set themselves up for it. That it's way more appealing to bring a guy in when you have a roster with a Jalen Brunson on it, with an OG Anunoby. Julius Randle, we'll see what the future of him is in New York. I think they're ultimately going to end up just eating that contract at the end of things and using that to be their I guess, next place for a star to land. But I like what they're doing as far as building things up, making this look like an appealing location, and they're bringing in winning players. Like Jalen Brunson is every part of that definition to me. I think OG not quite to the same level, but fits that same bill of he's a smart basketball player, he's a winning basketball player, and I think that they're now one move away from elevating into kind of the contending conversation. And I think you can make the argument that they're the fourth best team in the East right now, and we'll see what the test of time has to say about that.
All right, and last one from last night. Tell you what, the Pacers have the Bucks number, and they did it again. They ended the Milwaukee Bucks home winning streak of 15, and they were trailing by double digits. They came back. Haliburton is so smooth out there. The kid is just ridiculous. 26 points. Yeah, Mather from the bench, he finished with 25. They ended up knocking off the Bucks by 9 points, where they were. Let me see. I forget what the number was. I know they were 8-point underdogs. Pacers are the go for it.
Yeah. And they were down double digits in the second half, the Pacers as well.
Yeah. Pacers are the real deal, definitely against that matchup. Is it more when you see the Pacers having success against the Bucks? Is it more deficiencies from the Bucks side, or hey, maybe the expectations should be higher for the Indiana Pacers?
A little bit of both, but to me, the biggest thing that it comes down to is Damian Lillard cannot hang with Tyrese Haliburton defensively. That it is very interesting to me how much that matchup is targeted and circled, and Haliburton's obviously the engine of the entire Pacers operation there. But there was several really ugly clips floating around on Twitter right now of Haliburton just really going at Dame and having no trouble getting to his spots. It's interesting. That is what's bringing me back to being skeptical about this Bucks team is I don't know if I believe in them from a defensive standpoint, specifically on the perimeter. That it's a night and day difference going from Drew Holiday as your primary defender to Damian Lillard as a guy like that. And in theory, it makes up for it offensively. That obviously, when you look at the offensive end, Damian Lillard is another level that Drew could not bring to the table, and that was one of the weaknesses of the Bucks. But it's been worse than I expected as far as their ability to stop Damian Lillard. He looked like a straight traffic cone last night trying to stop Tyrese Haliburton, and that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to find a way to fix, and also something that other teams are going to take advantage of. I'm sure Nick Nurse is sitting there in the lab right now watching film saying, Tyrese Maxey can get to his spots in the same way that Haliburton has. This is the defensive effort that Damian Lillard is going to put forth. And same in Boston, same with teams across the league. So that is something to keep an eye on. I'm curious what the adjustments are made with that, because obviously you want Damian Lillard out there in crunch time, and you got to find a way to figure it out. But yeah, something of note that I think the Bucks are showing stylistically where they do have a weakness.
Excellent. All right. Let's go ahead and get over to tonight's card. And of course, at the top of that list, we got the 76ers taking on the Chicago Bulls. Only 6 games on the NBA slate this evening. That's the first one up, 7 p.m. All eyes on the Sixers. And the big man returns. Joel Embiid back tonight, right?
He is. He is officially.
That's good. The Sixers 2-5 this season without Embiid. Missed the previous road trip with a sprained right ankle. Last time out for the 76ers were back on December 30th, where they lost on the road to the Chicago Bulls 105-92. Have played the Bulls twice and lost both games. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they can't win tonight, but I just don't understand the 10.5. I get it. Joel Embiid's back. Watch out. We talked about the spot. Chicago was absolutely a spot that you hammered against the 76ers on the 30th. We were both correct on that take. I'm curious to know where you stand on this one, because I'm not so sure that Joel Embiid slides right back in and this Sixers team comes away with a double-digit victory tonight.
Yeah, I do think the Sixers ultimately produce a pretty convincing victory. 10.5, I agree with. Seems like a lot to me. That's a much higher number than I would have guessed. If you asked me to predict the lineup beforehand, I would probably said -6 in favor of the Sixers would have been my guess. So pretty significant gap between what the actual details coming out there or what the line is set at. I think with Joel Embiid coming back, that this is a statement win, them getting back on. Ultimately, the road trip was a success. Going 2-2 without Joel Embiid against 3 teams that are over 500 record, that's a good result for this team. And obviously, coming off the loss to the Bulls last game, that's not one that concerned me. You could see the tired legs. It's a tough spot going on a back-to-back from Houston to Chicago on a back-to-back day. So to play that, a loss, you could see the tired legs, just struggles to generate offense. That all changes with Joel Embiid in the picture. So I think tonight is a way where it looks much more connected, looks like the team that we've come to believe in here in Philadelphia. Will be a little bit of growing pains, I think, probably in the first quarter of that game. but he's Joel Embiid. He's the MVP of the league. He is going to change his game. I think the Sixers ultimately get the win, but that 10.5 does make me concerned.
Yeah, and look, you got Drummond previous game against the Sixers. He went for 15, pulled down 23. I mean, he was a maniac down there, and of course, nobody was there to stop him. So I think Joel Embiid's going to take that to heart a little bit. Watch out, but something is telling me right here that look, maybe not snapping of fingers, and next thing you know, this team's going to be cruising here tonight. But we'll see. Again, this is a very winnable game, and definitely one of those spots. But new season or new year for both squads. First game up this season. We'll see what this year we'll see what the Bulls have as far as player props. Anything sticking out to you for this one as between the Bulls and the Sixers tonight, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, the Joel Embiid, I do think that Embiid's going to come out with a statement. He sees the chatter. He sees the MVP game limit, all these things. I think he does not let this performance shine. The point set at 34.5 feels high, but it's Joel Embiid, and I think he likely gets that. I probably like the combo a little better. You can get that at 52.5. And also, again, it seems crazy, but the over 11.5 points in the first quarter, I like for Joel. That we know that they go to him early. He gets his opportunities. He plays the entire first quarter. That I think most games he's clearing that pretty comfortably. I think he gets past the 11.5 tonight, and I think he kind of shows that he is the foot on the gas coming out the gates tonight.
Bulls 15 and 19 on the year. Just one more from the Bulls' perspective with Caruso. He's been pretty good against Maxey. Is this a spot that maybe we go ahead and fade Tyrese Maxey tonight? 25.5 as far as player prop, player point total, and from the combo standpoint, you're getting at 35.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. Would you fade Maxey tonight going up against Caruso?
Yeah, I do lean that way, that I think it's a better play to go on the under. He's not a guy that I like to bet the unders on pretty much ever, because he does have that burst where he can absolutely change things throughout the course of a game. If he hits back-to-back threes and a layup, and all of a sudden that's 8 points and he's almost there. But Caruso is a tough matchup, and more so to me that he looked really tired in that Bulls game. And he had a couple days off now that they were coming off the back-to-back, the road trip, all that. So he should be in better form. But I do think the tired legs are catching up with Tyrese Maxey a little bit. Guy who's been one of the league leaders in minutes from start to finish this season. I think he's sitting at second right now, only behind Fred VanVleet as of a couple games ago. So I do think that the tired legs showing a little bit. Caruso is a tough matchup. The 25.5 seems like a little bit too high of a line for Tyrese Maxey tonight.
All right, and then everybody's favorite, Kobe White. Anything there for you as far as Kobe White tonight?
Yeah, his number is sitting at 22.5 points, and that's at plus 100. So that's creeped up a little bit. It was at 21.5 the game before, so it was going up a notch. I still like the combos for Kobe White. 32.5, I think, is a really favorable number that I think you can hop on that. That's a minus 115 line. So he is a guy that play makes a little. He helps out on the boards, does a little bit of everything. For players like that, I really like to trend towards the combo. So I think that's the way to bet for Kobe White, and he's absolutely the money man who things are running through on this side. So I think that's a good bet as well.
All right, next game up on the card here. We got a couple going off at 8:10 here this evening. We'll start with the Spurs and the Grizzlies. Should be an easy one for Memphis to win, but they're 11-point favorites, 236. Grizzlies had it going with the with of course Ja being returned to the lineup, and just him being the piece that he is for that franchise. No surprise there, but they have lost 3 straight. They're going to right the wrongs tonight against the Spurs, but 236 is our total on DraftKings. Your thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies take care of business and produce a pretty convincing win in this one. I think the Jaren Jackson Jr. and Victor Wembanyama matchup will be fun to watch. Very different styles of player, but do a lot of the same things. Jackson much more of kind of the power shot blocking. We know Wemby's one of one in the way that he goes about his business on the basketball court. I do think the Grizzlies take care of business and have a convincing win in this one. They have to. They have to keep their foot on their gas. They essentially have to win like a 53-win team pace from here on out. And to put that in perspective, that was the record the Denver Nuggets had in the regular season last year, and the Sixers had a 1 game above that with 54 wins. So they really have to produce some wins from here on out, make sure that they are playing themselves and climbing up those standings. Not a lot of wiggle room left for Memphis, so this is one that I expect them to have circled and have a focused effort from start to finish.
Yeah, they lost to the Kings, Clippers, and Nuggets, 3 of the better teams in the West. Ja did not play in the game against the Denver Nuggets, but did the previous 2, finished with 17 and 19. Tonight, 25.5 is this point total here on DraftKings Sportsbook. Possible fade spot because, this could turn into a blowout, or is this an automatic play for Ja Morant over?
Yeah, it feels a little high to me for Ja. As you said, 17 and 19 the past 2 games. He's cooled off a little bit. I think there is a fitness component that is coming to play with Ja, that he's not quite up to basketball speed. We even saw that in the debut moments with him, hands on his knees, huffing and puffing. And that's all natural, playing yourself back into shape. it's tough to replicate the reps of a high-level NBA game when you're away from a team and all those things. I consider his assists a little more appealing at 7.5, minus 140 there. I continue to be really impressed with his ability to just collapse the defense and kick out. I think he's taking his stride in his development in that area. 7.5 still a little high, so that's higher than I would have liked it. But I do think I'm more comfortable with him clearing that 8 assist mark than I would be with that 25.5, 26.5 in the points category.
Wimby over 1.5 threes at plus 125 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think I'm going to play that tonight. I think that looks like a play for me.
I like that. And he's much more comfortable as kind of a perimeter shooter at this point. So we've seen that very clearly from Wemby. That's his game. And I saw the Embiid quote that was floating around basically saying that he has to decide who he's going to be. Saw Embiid catching some heat from that. But I think it is a fair criticism of Wembanyama at this point. And obviously the bar is set so sky high for this kid for what his expectations are, what people want to see on the court, that I do feel bad to him for an extent. He will get it all figured out. But at this point in time, he's much more of a jump shooter than he is a threat to really dunk on anybody or drive to the basket in a way that I think he one day will be capable.
People always have something to say. No shock there. But I mean, what's wrong with what Joel Embiid said? Why is he catching heat? Isn't there, like, if there's one guy that I would look to for advice, and especially from the background that Joel Embiid has, it's him. It's Joel Embiid,
Yeah.
and I think it's fair to say again. It's year one. I bet you Joel Embiid did qualify his statements by saying he'll figure it out, but he needs to figure it out what he wants to be, perimeter dominant down low. What's wrong with what he said?
Yeah, I have no issue with it whatsoever. That I think it was fair. And as you mentioned, I think Joel Embiid, out of the options around the NBA, that's a pretty much up there with the best of the best is what you want to look as a potential model, a guy whose path you can kind of admire from coming to America, from figuring things out, changing up your body, all these things that Joel Embiid has experienced. So I do think it was a fair critique. Again, the bar is so sky high that I do feel bad for Wembanyama to an extent. Everyone has their struggles and learns as they get into the NBA. No player from day one makes the immediate impact or has the game figured out in the way that I think a lot of people kind of expected this kid to have. So he will get there. Embiid is right about the comments about him kind of just having more well-rounded, that you shouldn't just be a jump shooter at 7 foot forward and having the high release. It's great that you can do it, but that should be a part of your game, not your whole game. He will get there. Wembanyama is special. He's shown enough already. It's just going to be a little bit of a slower path than I think some people believed.
All right, Ben Simmons still out for the Brooklyn Nets. Will he play in 2024?
It's a great question. I don't have very much confidence in saying yes to that one. And I know he's been reevaluated. It's also strange to me. I've noticed this as well. With every injury, it's very like the team PR releases it. And that's the tweet that goes out. The Woj tweet of the Sixers say that Tyrese Maxey will be shut down for this. The Nets say that this. With Ben Simmons, it's always the agent saying this. So very strange. Just a little tea leaf reading there. Not going to say anything more than that, but he will get reevaluated. Back injuries obviously suck, but not a guy that I'm overly optimistic is going to be back on the court.
Easily one of the worst backs in the history of professional sports, man. And, coming from a guy who's a hell of a lot more overweight than Ben Simmons, I don't know, a couple core exercises and just relaxation and getting it right. I haven't had too many issues, knock on wood. Ben Simmons, man, I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on there. Actually, I probably do. But anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the team on the court. They're taking on the New Orleans Pelicans in New Orleans. They're catching 5.5 this evening. 228.5 is your total in this one, Sean. Pelicans have won 3 straight. Brooklyn have lost 3 straight. Something got to give for the Brooklyn Nets. Does it happen tonight?
Yeah, I don't think so. I like the Pelicans in this matchup, but I like them to cover the minus 5.5. Nets hovering over a little bit of the disaster button as well. That Jacques Vaughn kind of talking about how this team needs to bond together. He had one quote float around saying, like, I'm not a Hall of Fame coach. I'm working through this. And it's like, not the best message to send, I feel. I think that we're seeing a little bit of regression to the mean of a lot of guys having too much on their plate for this to be a successful team. Mikal Bridges, we all love, phenomenal player, but he's not a 1A on a team. He's just not, and we're kind of finding that out. His number's sitting at 21.5 for today. His shooting efficiency has really, really dipped this year, which is unfortunate to see. I'm curious what their mindset is from here. We're starting to see the trade whispers turn. If there's any talks about maybe moving on from some pieces and hitting the full rebuild button, I don't think that would be a bad option for Brooklyn if that's something they're considering. But ultimately, I think the Pelicans are playing better basketball. I think they come in and continue their path to becoming a Western Conference threat. They're getting there, still one piece at a time, but I think tonight is a night where they take care of business.
Excellent stuff. All right, next game up on the DraftKings card. Let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics. I thought you were going to say Boston's the top dog in the league, but you went with the Denver Nuggets, and you're not going to get any argument from me there. Boston 4-point favorites though tonight on the road in Oklahoma City. 240 is our total in this one. OKC, of course, a ton to like. Boston, we know what we're getting there. I'm going to pull up some injury news, make sure we're not missing anything as far as that is concerned. But your thoughts on tonight's game is what?
Yeah, I'm leaning the Thunder on this one. This is a game I'm very intrigued to see. Both the Thunder and Celtics are two of the four teams in the NBA that are in the top 10 in both offensive rating and defensive rating. The other two in that being the Denver Nuggets and the Philadelphia 76ers. So this is kind of a measuring stick matchup for both these teams. I agree the Celtics deserve to be every bit of that conversation for best team. There's still a little bit of, I have some concerns with whether they're a ball handler short, whether Derek White is the point guard that can be capable in stretches as they're kind of playing him as right now. They got a couple other pieces that I'm concerned. Sam Hauser getting some major burn. I'm not sure if I'm sold that he is a legitimate playoff role player in the way that it looks like things are shaping up for. But the bottom line with this matchup is the Thunder are really good, and I don't think people have fully recognized like how legitimately very good they are. Like they're right in that same mix of top tier teams. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the real deal. Chet Holmgren playing some absurd defense as well as filling it up on the offensive end. I think this is the type of matchup that's going to wake up some teams. I like the +4 for the Thunder, and I think there's a real good chance that they win outright.
Yeah, Boston's won 6 consecutive. Thunder have won 4 consecutive. 7 of their past 8, and both teams 22-9. The Thunder are this season 26-6. The Boston Celtics are, again, DraftKings Sportsbook showing that number at 4. Some shops have it at 3.5. Anything from a player point or player prop that you're looking at in that game, since 240, one of the highest total on the board this evening.
Yeah, I think the Jason Tatum combos at 39.5 is a little lower than I expected for that one. He is a guy who can rip off double-doubles pretty casually, helps out on the rebounds a ton and needs to for the way their system's designed. So you knock out that, and then you're looking at him scoring in the high 20s for points. Feel pretty good about that from Jason Tatum's end. So I like that from a player combo, and I'm just very excited from a basketball perspective to see him and Shea go back and forth with each other. Shea is also a very good defender in a way that he doesn't get credit, leading the NBA in steals by a pretty comfortable margin. He's getting like 3 steals a game, which is absurd stuff. I'm curious to see how him and Tatum match up, how often they're left alone to do it. But I think Tatum, that as far as a player prop, that Tatum over 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists, I like quite a bit.
Can't argue on that one. Next game up, let's talk about the Orlando Magic Golden State Warriors. Warriors are just in a ton of trouble. Can't find it. And over the holiday, I think I watched 2 times that they lost. Not the best performances by everyone on that Warriors squad right now. They're 3-point favorites against the Orlando Magic. Anytime I want to put some stock into the Orlando Magic, I always get bit. I think I would look at them here. They're catching 3, 229.5 is your total. Again, tough pill to swallow going up against Golden State, but it's not the same Warriors team from years past.
Yeah, I lean the Magic on this side. I'm hesitant to fully click send on it, but I do think that this is a matchup that does not bode well for the Warriors. Got a lot of size on that Magic team, a ton of 6'10" front court players running around, and the Warriors really struggling in the size category. They've been out rebounded a ton this year. Kevon Looney, we know, is a very good rebounder, but at the end of the day, he's still 6'9", struggles in some of these matchups. Trace Jackson-Davies starting to get more burn as a true 5-man in their system, who's been good and shown flashes, and I like quite a bit. But this Magic team, just from start to finish, is very large size. They got Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, all guys that can really get in there, get active. I do think that the Magic produced a little bit of a statement win here. I'm hesitant just because they are the Warriors, but I agree with you. This is not the same Warriors team that we once saw.
Lost 3 straight, and I think I watched 2 out of the 3. I had money on Miami, and I took Dallas in the other one. So 2-0 betting against the Warriors, and like I said, it's just a really to hit send on it. You got to have that confidence, and I don't remember the last time that I've had this confidence betting against Golden State. It's been a long damn time. So I think more of the same tonight. They're giving 3. This team is just struggling right now, and I definitely agree with you as far as the size is concerned. But we'll keep our eyes on that one. That's at 10-10. Also at 10-10, 6 game on the card and final game here on Picks and Roll. Charlotte Hornets, who just got lumped up on the road in Denver. They take their talents to Sacramento this evening. 15.5-point favorites. 231 is your total in that one. Any shot Charlotte keeps it close, Sean?
Yeah, the 15.5 feels a little big to me. I'm not going to argue that they're in the same category of team. Kings playing some really good ball of late, so I totally get this turning into a blowout. I probably lean toward this staying at least kind of in that 10-point vicinity. So 15.5 seems a little large for me. I'm curious if there's any injury news kind of coming out. I haven't seen anything yet, but that feels a little large to me. I would say the plus 15 from the Hornets side of things, just because they have guys that are capable of getting hot. Terry Rozier, Brandon Miller specifically. They have a fighting chance in this game. And for a team to have a fighting chance and have a 15-point spread, to me, I see as favorable. But the Kings are absolutely the better team, and it could turn into a shellacking as well.
I agree with that. Hopefully that is the case because I think that might be a play this evening. Again, a lot of bad basketball teams in the NBA. Charlotte might lead everyone as far as that is concerned. And I know Detroit, hey, shout out Detroit finally getting it done when we called it on Saturday last week. But
Had to be.
yeah, Charlotte's right up there, if not worse, than the Detroit Pistons. All right, great stuff, Sean Barnard. We'll be back at it tomorrow, recapping hopefully a Sixers victory, and hopefully everybody out there is cashing in on your wagers. Another episode of Picks and Roll in the books. For Sean Barnard, I'm Sean Brace. We'll talk to you tomorrow.